Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa. Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, West Alabama, Internet World, downtown Northport, everywhere you're watching the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. We love it and we appreciate everybody watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. You can find us and listen to us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon. And of course, the best place to find us is right there on BamaCentral.com. I am, of course, your host, Joe Gaither. You can find me on the social media machines at Joe Gaither6 on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, really wherever you find your social medias, you can find me at Joe Gaither6. And we're going to have a fun week. We're going to have a fun week right here on the program. We're hopefully going to catch up with a member of the Yay Alabama's contingents. Going back to our conversation on Friday, we're going to get a little corrections. We're going to get a little details about Yay Alabama. This week, we're hopefully going to talk to Caleb Odom from Carrollton High School. Caleb Odom and the Carrollton Trojans lost their opener to Langston Hughes on Friday night. You could have seen that on ESPN2. So hopefully we will catch up with Caleb Odom this week as well. We're going to have a fun week. What are we, 12 days away? 12 days away from Alabama kicking off against MTSU right there in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Cannot wait for that to get underway and get rolling. But we still have 12 more days. So hopefully we're going to catch up with a member of the MTSU media contingent next week. That'll be a lot of fun to set up the Blue Raiders coming to town. But what are we going to do today? Well, we're going to talk about Alabama scrimmage. Alabama hit their final scrimmage on Saturday in Bryant-Denny Stadium. We heard from head coach Nick Saban after the scrimmage, and we got some news and notes and sources talking to us about what happened on Saturday. So we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about Nick Dunlap. Nick Dunlap winning the U.S. Amateur Championship yesterday on NBC. You could have watched that about 2, 3 o'clock yesterday, becoming the first the first golfer to win the U.S. Junior Amateur and the U.S. Amateur Championship since Tiger Woods. So now Tiger Woods and Nick Dunlap in company together. We'll talk about that for just a minute. And the ladies went up to Birmingham and beat UAB yesterday in soccer. So we'll hit on that as well. Before we jump into the program and get this scrimmage talk started, we want to encourage you guys to follow the other Bama Central podcasts. All Things Bama with Katie Wyndham and Austin Hannon, and our friends Blue Collar Unplugged with Blake Byler, Matthew Gibson, and Jacob Pickle, bringing you all things basketball related on Blue Collar Unplugged. The three of us together make up the Bama Central Broadcasting Network, and we are so happy to be a part of Bama Central as we are getting underway in the fall semester. If you're paying attention to the academic calendar, our students right here in Tuscaloosa get started on Tuesday, I believe. Tuesday or Wednesday, classes officially get rolling. You had move-in weekend this past weekend. I hope all of you who moved back into Tuscaloosa, hope it went smoothly for you. The heat was hot, so it was not nice for not nice for moving furniture and moving stuff back into dorms and apartments. But ideally, everybody got moved in safely, and we're ready for the new semester. So let's talk. Let's talk about Alabama's spring scrimmage, the second scrimmage on Saturday. We talked about this scrimmage last Monday. So subsequently, that's what we're going to do for this Monday. The final scrimmage happened in Bryant-Denny Stadium. And what do you want to start with? Let's start with the most obvious talking point: quarterbacks under center. Who's leading the Crimson Tide out of the tunnel? Who's getting the first crack at the first team offense? It's Jalen Milroe. It's Jalen Milroe basically taking all his snaps with the first team offense this past weekend. And Jalen Milroe getting the first crack at the first team offense with the first team offense. And reports say that Jalen Milroe was moving the ball down the field with the first team offense and doing well. Now, reports also say that you dealt with some drops. Jalen Milroe threw a pass out to Malik Benson and ended up, unfortunately, the JUCO transfer dropping a touchdown pass. What would have been a touchdown pass on a busted coverage. You had multiple drops on busted coverages. I think Kobe Prentice had a drop on busted coverage. I think Kendrick Law had a drop on busted coverage. I think Amari Nyblack had a drop. Multiple drops. Isaiah Bond with drops as well. Multiple drops making it difficult to kind of discern and decide who's playing quarterback at the best level. Now you hear from people at the scrimmage. I've talked to a couple of people that were at the scrimmage that walked away saying all the quarterbacks kind of looked the same to a certain degree. All the quarterbacks had highs and all the quarterbacks had lows. If you listen to Nick Saban was very, very vague after the scrimmage. Let me pull up his quote real quick. Let me pull up his quote right here. He talks about all the quarterbacks got reps. All the quarterbacks, here we go, right there. They all got to play. They all got snaps. They all completed some passes. They all made some throws that weren't as good as they should have been. They all got sacked. That's what I saw, per head coach Nick Saban after the scrimmage. And yeah, this rolls into numerous issues. People are wondering about, who's going to play quarterback? Will it be Milroe? Will it be Ty Simpson? Will Tyler Buchner get the job? Or even Dylan Lonergan? All four quarterbacks getting a lot of buzz after the scrimmage. Eli Holstein, sorry, buddy, you're a distant fifth. Sounds like he made some decent plays as well. Had a nice 40-yard run with his legs, but he seems like he's a distant fifth, and that's okay for a freshman. Going to redshirt Eli Holstein and likely see what we're going to see out of him next spring when Julian Sayin comes to town and the quarterback battle continues to wage on. The problem is, if you're having poor pass protection, which we are right now, if you're having inconsistencies in the wide receiver room, which we are right now, then really I think it makes it difficult to judge who's playing quarterback at the best level. Now, Tyler Buchner got a lot of love after this scrimmage. Sounds like Tyler Buchner is starting to pick up a little bit of steam, and it seems like Tyler Buchner had his best day in a crimson uniform. Now, not the best day out of the three quarterbacks, but his best day in an Alabama uniform to date, which is a positive sign. You want all of these quarterbacks to be raising the level, no matter who you're playing or who you're pulling forward to be the quarterback. You want them all to be improving, and it seems like Tyler Buchner has taken some steps forward, leading the offense on a 85-yard touchdown drive. So Tyler Buchner getting a little love. Ty Simpson getting a little love. The problem with Ty Simpson is the game's just still moving a little too fast. Now, Ty Simpson has the distinct disadvantage of continuously playing against the first-team defense. And what I heard from the scrimmage is the first-team defense is very, very good. The first-team defense is all over the place. The first-team defense is putting massive pressure on the quarterbacks. And yes, you don't like to hear that. Sounds like you're having some problems on the offensive line in pass protection. But in run blocking, it sounds like the first-team offensive line is road grading, is opening up holes along the offensive line. So it seems like just initial takeaways from what we've heard is that this shift, the want to run first attitude for Alabama is going, like, it sounds like a no-brainer that has to be the method, that has to be the strategy going into the first couple of weeks. Ride the running game, ride the offensive line, let the quarterbacks kind of ease their way into playing well, ease their way into leading this team. The problem is it's hard to judge what you're seeing because if the first-team defense is getting a lot of pressure, quarterback pressure, it sounds like Jalen Milroe got sacked numerous times. If the first-team defense is getting a lot of pressure, what does that mean? Is the first-team defense really, really good? Or is the offensive line really, really bad? Or is it somewhere in between? I'm choosing to look at the glass half full because I'm kind of a silver linings positive guy usually. So I think that means that the defense is playing really, really high level football. I heard good things about Chris Braswell and Dallas Turner. I heard good things about Tresman Marshall and obviously Deontay Lawson is handling his business and doing his thing as the kind of the lead dog. I heard great things about Tim Keenan. Your first team defensive line was Tim Keenan, Justin Aboigbe, and Jaheim Otis. The three of those guys seem like they're really coming along. Obviously, you guys all saw Jaheim Otis last year. Every single week, a little bit better. And Jaheim Otis seems like he is just, Jaheim Otis seems like he's got that fire in him to never, ever really, seems like he's intrinsically motivated at a high level to continue to, I mean, obviously you come to campus, you lose a bunch of weight, you reshape your body, you work your way into a starting role last year as a freshman, and it seems like he's still just not satisfied, which I love. It seems like he's still just developing himself from a strength perspective, from a motor perspective, perspective, from an understanding perspective. And it sounds like Jaheim Otis is really, really coming along. And I'm like, oh, gosh, I'm excited. I'm excited to see Alabama with ideally a dominant defensive lineman. It's been a hot minute since Alabama's had a really dominant defensive lineman. Obviously, Christian Barmore had his moments, but inconsistent. And you had, what was it? Quentin Williams was probably your last dominant defensive lineman. Imagine if we can get somebody in that realm, in that talent realm. So it's hard to judge. With that being the context, it's hard to judge your quarterbacks when your defense is playing really well. You're not getting a ton of support along the offensive line and in the wide receiver room. It sounds like not everyone's struggling with drops specifically, but it sounds like everyone's struggling with the inherent drop from here or there. You had a report that Benson had a drop, that Bond had a drop, that Law had a drop, that Nybeck had a drop, but none of them having multiple drops. The issue is it's just hitting at the wrong time. It's hitting it. Kendrick Law had a touchdown pass go through his hands. Malik Benson had a touchdown pass go through his hands. If you're having drops, I mean, yeah, it's not an interception. Great. But if you're having drops, you are basically nuking your offense. To have a throw, I'm throwing it 6 yards to whoever, Johnny Football, and it hits him in the hands or it hits him somewhere in the catch radius, and he's having a drop. It's a dead play. It's a dumb play. It's as good as, I don't know. It's as good as a negative rush, really. You then go into 2nd and 10, or you go into 3rd and 10, or whatever the case may be, 3rd and 6, still 3rd and 8, whatever the case may be, because you have that drop and you nuke any chance of having real consistent offensive play. And so, look, Coach Saban, I think we have a lot of wide receivers with a lot of talent. But you've got to, at this point, with 2 weeks left in the season, 2 weeks left in fall camp until the season, you've got to really start to narrow down, I think, the wide receiver rotation. Narrow down the wide receiver rotation and really just play the guys who you can count on. Play the guys who you can really rely on. Oh, if the ball is in Ja'Cory Brooks' catch radius, he's getting it. Is he going to catch the ball? Like, of course, we all want to see yak and run after catch, and we all want to see, yards after the catch. But the most important thing is catching the dadgum football. You have to have guys out there who can catch the ball. And so I think that now, on the flip side, you want to give an excuse for the wide receivers. Having 4 different guys throw you the football across fall camp isn't always the easiest thing, because you got 4 different guys with 4 different release styles, with 4 different spin rates, with 4 different velocities, with 4 different ideas and mindsets on where and how the ball should be delivered. And so you're starting, in my opinion, to have a little bit of an issue, like leaving the competition wide open, leaving the quarterback competition wide open. I think it's creating just a little bit of an issue consistency-wise along the offensive line in pass protection and out in the wide receiver room as far as receiving the ball. Look, last year we had Bryce Young, baby Bryce, just sitting back there, extending plays left and right. The quarterbacks that you have right now can do a touch of that, but with the offensive line, if you're thinking, okay, we have to pass pro, where it's a pass play, we're all slide protection right, man protection left, this, that, or the other. It creates, I don't know, it's just inconsistency when you have, a different quarterback behind you each and every time. Oh, my man Jalen Milroe likes to roll out to my left, so I want to protect this way or that way. I think it creates a little bit of an extra mental hurdle trying to learn the guy who's behind you as an offensive lineman, and still as a wide receiver trying to learn the guy how the ball is going to be delivered from the different quarterbacks. So I would love to see, and Coach is not going to say this week, and he's not going to say next week who the starting quarterback's going to be. He's going to say, wait till 6:30 p.m. on Saturday, September 2nd. You'll see who the quarterback's going to be, and it's going to be Jalen Milroe. And I don't want to say, let's go ahead and cut out Tyler Buckner and Simpson and Lonigan, but whoever the quarterback is at the leader, whoever's leading the competition, it's time to develop, and it's time to enhance the chemistry along the offensive line and enhance the chemistry with your wide receivers and kind of settle into a rhythm. Every time that Jalen Milroe is under center, I'm getting the ball thrown at me right here. I'm getting the ball thrown at me right there. Every time Jalen Milroe is under center, I got to block a little bit longer, or I got to, step a little bit to the outside or leave a rush lane open to the inside. Jalen Milroe, his athleticism is off the charts. Off the charts. I wonder and am a little bit concerned with the Alabama offense in terms of the passing game because of the inconsistencies that you're seeing under center. And not just inconsistencies in level of play and in production, but in play styles. I think Tyler Buchner is a nice little quarterback, but obviously his play style is not the same as Dylan Lonergan, as Ty Simpson, as Jalen Milroe. And so you start to mix different styles, and I think that it creates a little bit of a detriment along the offensive line and pass protection and with the wide receivers. Now, I heard good things about Ty Simpson. I heard good things about Tyler Buchner. I heard great things about Dylan Lonergan. Dylan Lonergan seems like a real ball player. Seems like he's going to have has a real edge to his game. And coach last week complimented Lonergan towards the end of the week, and then he complimented him again on Saturday after the scrimmage. Basically, let's see, I'll read you his exact quote on Dylan Lonergan. He's done really well. He's shown great ability, great potential. I think that's the thing that he really needs to improve on. Reading 101. Sorry. He's done really well. He's shown great ability, great potential. I think that's the thing he needs is experience. Everyone says, what's experience? What is your ability to self-assess? I have better ability to self-assess right now than I did when I was 18 years old. How do you learn to do that? Through experience. You have experiences, you make mistakes, you mess up and say, well, I'm never going to do that again. That's how you learn to progress. So he's a talented guy and certainly a guy that we want to continue to try to develop, but he's done a nice job so far through camp. Dylan Lonergan, everybody that you talk to about the quarterback position comes away and says, oh, that Dylan Lonergan, I think he might have your best arm talent right now in the room. Think that he might have the best arm talent as far as knowing how and where to throw the football, knowing the velocities, knowing how the delivery is supposed to go. The issue with Dylan Lonergan is total true freshman, no college experience. And it seems like whenever he's going up against first-team defense, whenever he's kind of thrown into the fire, he's just a little too slow in the processing department. Well, you'd expect that. The dude's 18 years old. He played high school football last year and jumping in to play against the Alabama defense that I expect to be incredible this year. Like, golly, all the reports about the Alabama defense right now are off the charts good. So Dylan Lonergan, look, I think that he does probably have the best, the most complete arm talent and is delivering the football probably the most consistently out of the 4 or 5. The problem is I don't know that he is really ready to take the Alabama playbook and run with it. I don't know that he's ready to take the Alabama playbook and make adjustments along the line of scrimmage, to recognize what defenses are trying to do to him at this stage in the game. Now, does that mean that he's completely out of it? No. I think that what you're going to see through these first 4 weeks is the quarterback battle will continue through the MTSU, Texas, USF, and who's the other bum team that you're playing? Kent State, is that it? Oh, goodness gracious, I'm losing my brain. Alabama football schedule. You're playing South Florida. Did I not just say that? I did just say that. MTSU, Texas, South Florida, and then Ole Miss. Okay, yes, I totally made up one more team. I was totally off base with one more team. So yeah, I think your quarterback battle is going to go through the first 3 weeks, and by the time you're playing Ole Miss right here, September 23rd, it's going to you're going to see something more settle in. I think you're going to see more of here is it's over by now, and this player is going to carry us through the SEC season. So what do we have with the quarterback position? Look, I hear detriments. I hear people all the time. I fielded comments this week. Alabama doesn't have a quarterback over the weekend. I think that we do have a quarterback. I think that we have 3 or 4 quarterbacks who can actually win and play. You go back through the quarterback battles throughout time in the Nick Saban era, and obviously Bryce and Tua were off the charts talented. otherworldly talented. And so their talent was very obvious to see. And I think we might see that with Julian Sayin next spring, but we're not there yet with Julian Sayin. You're probably going back to a Jake Coker. You're probably going back to a Jalen Hurts, a Mac Jones. You're probably going back to an AJ McCarron, where these guys are very, very skilled at a certain part, a certain piece of the game. I mean, Mac had a brilliant mind. Many of you know, if you follow my program or if you follow me, that I haven't always loved Mac Jones from a skill set perspective. I don't always think that his place in the Alabama history is correct based on, just his talent level. But Mac Jones, his mind was his experience. Everything was so slow for him in that 2020 season. His experience, he gave him the ability to read defenses and get Alabama into the right plays. And then he had adequate arm talent to execute after the snap. Now, he also had probably the best offensive line and the best running back and one of the best wide receiver and rubes in Alabama history to play with, but that's no knock on him. He was able to utilize it and produce at a very, very high level. Obviously, he was, third in the Heisman Trophy voting that year? I don't know that he was overly skilled like Tua or like Bryce, but his mind, the mental aspect of the game it was very, very strong. And so you think, okay, what else? Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, obviously, a great leadership ability and really tough runner, very athletic. But let's be honest, his Alabama arm talent left some to be desired. Left a lot to be desired at times, obviously. He was a great starting quarterback, led Alabama to 2 national championships. He got the job done at a college level, at a high level. And obviously, you'd love to see him, when he walked off the field against Deshaun Watson, Alabama had the lead. You would love to have seen him win that national championship game. But Jalen was overcoming deficiencies as well. Jalen was a very talented runner and had a cannon for an arm. Obviously, you've seen him develop his arm through the years while at Alabama, at Oklahoma, and in the NFL. You've seen him develop the ability to read a defense through the years. But at the time that he was in Alabama, 16 and 17 and a little bit of 18, he was really had deficiencies. He had passing game deficiencies. Let's just be honest. You go back, AJ McCarron had a little bit of deficiency, not as athletic, but a great arm. No, a good arm, but also had the leadership kind of qualities that Mac Jones did. Leadership qualities and had the ability to kind of just slow things down and had the killer instinct. Let's talk about Jake Coker. Jake Coker won a national championship with deficiencies. These quarterbacks, look, save for Bryce Young and a little bit of Tua, like these quarterbacks have always had a little bit of deficiency. Right? Blake Sims was a brilliant runner, but not always the best passer. Lane Kiffin was able to scheme Amari Cooper open left and right and all over the field, and they were able to get the job done. Blake Sims obviously didn't turn into an NFL quarterback, and Jake Coker, same thing, didn't turn into an NFL quarterback. Jake a little bit left some to be desired on the athleticism side, but had a cannon for an arm and was a great leader, had great maturity, had a nice level head about him. So you take the qualities, the positive qualities. Greg McElroy, for example. Greg, obviously we love you, Greg. 2009 national championship. Thank you so much for your services. But as a quarterback, had deficiencies. Not always the best arm, sneaky athletic, sure, but mostly operated the game best mentally for Greg McElroy. Alabama has operated throughout the Nick Saban era with quarterbacks that have deficiencies. So people who say, oh, Alabama doesn't have a quarterback going in this year. Okay, they don't have a perfect quarterback. They don't have a prospect that's looking like the number 1 pick in the draft next year. I'll agree with that. That's very fair. Ain't no Bryce Young rolling off the bench right now. But Jalen Milroe, think about, each of the guys have talent or have an aspect of their game that can be leaned on and utilized for success, for great success. Jalen Milroe, all right, you'd love to see the passing mechanics get a lot smoother. You'd love to see him be a lot more accurate. You would. Yes, he's got a little bit of I'm placing the football, I'm throwing the ball like darts. Yeah, but his athleticism is off the dadgum charts. And you get him in the 3rd and 9, you get him in a 3rd and 12. If he can't complete a pass, I feel pretty dadgum good about his ability to tuck the football and run, i.e., Arkansas 70 yards down the sidelines when you really needed it. I mean, Jalen Milroe can torture defenses with his ability to run and just, dink and dunk and pick the right plays. His deficiencies are not deficient enough to keep him off the field. Now, the main deficiency that everyone has to avoid is turnovers. Main thing, don't turn the football over. Let James Burnip, who had a great day on Saturday, boom these punts down the field. If we can't move the ball, all right, fine. If we can't move the ball, we got to end, the Coach Saban saying, end every drive in a punt, end every, in a kick, in a kick is what he said. End every drive in a kick, whether it be a punt, an extra point, whatever the case may be, or a field goal op. End every drive in a kick. Cannot turn the football over. You put James Burnip out there, it sounds like he was booming the kicks on Saturday, the punts on Saturday. And you put Will Reichert out there, who apparently was perfect again on Saturday, kicked a 50-yard field goal and made it on Saturday. Let me find my nugget on Will Reichert, perfect day, which included a 55-yard field goal on the first drive. Like, you put these two experienced players out there without turning the football over, you give your defense a chance. Give the defense a chance, which I think is going to look. You give the defense 70 yards to defend, 80 yards to defend. You don't put them in short field positions. I think that we're going to be just fine. You run the football. You run the football. It sounds like the running game, the offensive line was just opening up holes on the running game. And look, I think our defense is good, but I think that speaks back to the earlier point of not really knowing or not really feeling comfortable in pass protection with, multiple different guys behind you. But when it's Roydell, it's Jason McClellan, it's Jam Miller, it's Justice Haynes and Richard Young. And I got a, whatever it is, trap, I got an off tackle play, or I got a zone, outside zone, whatever the concept is. These offensive linemen are running it to their full abilities and moving players off the line of scrimmage. So none of this sounds bad to me. None of this sounds upsetting to me. And granted, I do like to keep the positive perspective. I hate selling doom and gloom unless it really is doom and gloom. Look, you guys know that I'm a Bears fan. Every year I go into, these are the positives for the Bears and how we can win 12 games. And obviously, if you watched us last year, that we won 3 games, worst team in the league. But I was positive until the very end. And that's how I'm always going to try to be, because I know the hard work that these guys put in, both at the player level, the coaching level, and the support staff level. These guys are working their dadgum tails off to try to play well. They're not out there. They're not out there messing around. I really strongly feel the Alabama on the front of their chest really means something. And if it doesn't mean anything, I think that at least these guys want to acquit themselves very, very well. They don't want to hear the hate on social media. They don't want to hear the negative talk on social media. And, Coach Saban always says he's not on social media. But the players are. They want to play well for you. They want to perform well for you because winning is always more fun than losing. Coach Saban talked about it. What's fun on Saturday? Winning is fun. I think you're going to be just fine at the quarterback position. I think what we've heard from Saturday's scrimmage was that Milroe will lead your number one offense going out there against MTSU. After talking to people on Saturday, I won't be surprised if in the first 3 weeks, MTSU, Texas, and that USF game, you see a little bit of all 4 quarterbacks. The only reason you wouldn't is if Milroe comes out in that first drive and just leads you right down the field. Boom, 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 boom. And then the second drive, right down the field. Milroe leads you right down the field. If you don't see that kind of level of production against MTSU, which would surprise me, then I think you will see a little bit of all three at least, and maybe even a 4th quarterback in Dylan Lonergan. Now, you play Texas the next week, and Texas is coming for your neck. They are. They're coming for your neck, and they're trying to overcome. They're trying to get some revenge from last year's loss. They're trying to put themselves on the map with a big old win in Tuscaloosa. You've heard me talk about the Texas game. Do I want to win it? Absolutely. You're dead gum right. I want to beat Texas. I do. But does beating Texas or losing to Texas affect what's going to happen down the line in the college football playoff? No. If you win the West, if you go through the West and you beat, you win the West, you win the SEC championship, you are in the college football playoff, even if you have a 1 loss to Texas. I think you still need to be, using those snaps and using that game to make sure or to find out who's going to be the quarterback all year long. You think back to the Ole Miss game here in Tuscaloosa in 2016, where Cooper Bateman starts, and obviously you got the stupid wild play, or I think it was Chad Kelly gets sacked and he throws it up, and the Ole Miss receiver catches it on like 3rd and 18 and runs in a touchdown, like a stupid wild play, right? Instincts that Alabama lost that game. But throughout that game, you saw, boom, Jake Coker stole the job, or really claimed the job. And really, if that game had been another quarter long, one more quarter long, Alabama wins. I feel very confident in that. And so if that's the case, if that's what plays out against Texas, if you lose the game, but you find who your starting quarterback is, I think it's not really going to be that big of a loss. You go to USF the next week, you beat USF, and then you start to roll through your SEC schedule. And what you want to do, make sure you win the West. That's the number one goal. Win the dadgum West. Obviously, okay, baseline, and we'll scale it back. Number one goal is beat Auburn. And then number 2 goal is to win the West. Number 3 goal, after you won the West, after you beat Auburn, after you won the West, win the SEC championship. After number 4 goal, get to the college football playoff. And then after that, you're rolling the dice. Obviously, national championship is the very top goal. But you get into the college football playoff, you give yourself a chance. I don't want to throw the Texas game. I don't. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. That is not what I'm trying to say at all. What I'm trying to say is the fact that you need to use these 3 weeks, MTSU, Texas, and South Florida, to find and secure who's going to be the starting quarterback. And I think right now, after the Saturday scrimmage, the guys are still pretty close together. I know last week, after the first scrimmage, I said that Jalen Milroe's taken a step forward, but I said we're still on the back straightaway. I think Jalen Milroe still has a little bit of a lead on all 3 of them. And while we're not quite on the back straightaway anymore, we are on that, that third turn. We're in the third turn. We've got to figure it out as we come down the back stretch in the next 12 days. So Jalen Milroe is going to be your starting quarterback. But I think and I feel like you're going to see at least all 3 quarterbacks in that first game, and likely more through the first 3 weeks. Yes, you want to beat Texas, but really the best thing, the most important thing in these 3 weeks is to solidify who's going to play behind center throughout the rest of the year, who's going to lead you through the SEC schedule. And we'll find out. Do I like Jalen Milroe as the option? I still do. I like the buzz that you're hearing from Dylan Nonigan. Anytime that you hear this player had a positive day, that player had a positive day. Look, I'm not pulling for or against any of these quarterbacks. I want Coach Saban and I want the Alabama offense to be operating at a very, very high level. So whoever can take the reins, that's what Coach Saban wants. Grab the bull by the horns. I think you're still waiting on one of the quarterbacks to kind of really do that. And while that's a little concerning, I still think you have some time to grab that bull by the horns. All right, let's move on. Quarterback talk is fun, but let's move on. We've been 30 minutes on quarterback talk. Woohoo! We're going to talk about the offensive line. The offensive line was a little bit different over Saturday, and so look, what do you have along the offensive line? Here's your updated first 5. Caden Proctor on the left side, left to right. Caden Proctor, Tyler Booker. Ooh, that's a change. Seth McLaughlin, Darian Dalcourt, and then J.C. Latham. Now, all those guys are highly touted. All those guys are highly rated. You obviously know that you're walking in with McLaughlin, J.C. Latham, and Tyler Booker as experienced, and Darren Dalcourt as experienced guys. You're getting 4 of your most experienced guys out there. You flip Booker from the right to the left, and give Caden Proctor somebody with a nasty streak, somebody who's experienced, and somebody with just a little bit of an ability to help you out right there. If you're going to throw the freshman out there at the left tackle position, you know that other teams are coming after him. You know that they're going to rush right over him. Why not throw your nastiest guard, your nastiest interior lineman right next to him to help him out? Yes, you know the relationship with Tyler Booker and J.C. Latham. Obviously, those 2 guys, high school teammates, and there was a little bit of a school of thought that you pair them both up on the right side. But Tyler Booker is talented enough, I think, to flip to the left and help your man Caden Proctor assimilate into the college game. Now, do I like hearing that Darian Dalcourt's getting some buzz and love? Yeah, sure. Dalcourt, it's the Coach Saban way. The Coach Saban way to reward guys who stick with the program and work very hard. Look, Dalcourt's not playing center. He ain't going to play center for you. He's going to be Seth McLaughlin, Brockermeyer, or TJ Ferguson playing center, probably in that order. Dalcourt, yes, he can play center, emergency center, but really you're trying to find a place for him, find a home for that big old body, and likely guard is going to be his home in the NFL or home in the XFL or wherever he's going to play in the future. So throw him out there at right guard. He's one of your most experienced offensive linemen. You try to overwhelm teams with experience, with age, and with nastiness. So there's your offensive line, your little breaks from Saturday. You got a little change, moving Tyler Booker from right to left, and then Darian Dalcourt sliding into that right guard position. And I feel good about that offensive line. Now, what you heard was exactly what I said about 5 minutes ago. Really good run blocking, really nice road grading, very suspect pass blocking. And whether that is due to Caden Proctor's inexperience or whether that is due to the Alabama defensive line and edge rushers getting a lot of pressure, I think that has the most to do with it. Or whether that has to do with the 5 offensive linemen not always being in there at the same time, not always getting the same experience. I think that those 2 factors, the strength of the Alabama defense and the lack of chemistry with those 5. You've got 12 days to get it right. You got 12 days, and really what's 12 and 7 is 19 days until Texas comes to town, and their defensive front is going to be pretty nasty, pretty brutal up front. So you want to have the guys finding their chemistry, 5 fingers, 1 fist, finding their chemistry by the time Texas comes to town. I feel good about that 5. I do. Dalcourt gives me a little cause for concern just because I think he plays a little too high. I want to see him get lower into his hips, and I want to see him really drive defenders off the ball, not get overwhelmed when he's pass setting. Stay low, use that big old body, use that frame, stay low in your hips, and hold the line in pass protection. Let's see. We already hit on the drops a little bit. Let's talk about defense. We hit on the defense just a touch, but my takeaways on the defense are as follows. Let's see. Let me pull my notes right there. Right there. Yeah. Alabama's. Let's see. Your starting defense really looked like. Well, I want to talk about the defensive back, so that's where I'm going. Terrion Arnold, and Kool-Aid McKinstry are locked in as the starting cornerbacks. And I think that's been obvious to a lot of people. You see a lot of love for Trey Amos, which it seems like he's getting some run, but seems like he's getting some run in the money package. Look, it's Terrion Arnold and it's Kool-Aid McKinstry. They're going to be lockdown corners, and I am so excited about them. Part of the reason you're seeing maybe some of the quarterback struggles are effective defensive back play. The defensive backs are, our secondary is going to be as nasty as it's been probably, I don't want to whisper 2016, but kind of close to that 2016 defense, at least talent level. Their talent level is just as high as probably that 2016 team. Now, you don't have the real experienced Minkah Fitzpatrick back there. You have maybe his freshman clone in Caleb Downs. You got Caleb Downs and Malachi Moore both playing at safety. Jalen Key kind of lines up in there in your nickel package, and then when you get into the dime, you're playing Trey Amos as well. So you think about the talent in that room, those 6 guys, you get them all out there on the field. I think, it's going to be tough sledding throwing against this Alabama defense this year. And really, look, you've had. Thank you, Josh Jobe, for your service. Thank you, Anthony Averett, for your service. Thank you. Go back the last 3 or 4 years. I guess Eli Ricks a little bit last year just in select games. But you haven't had a dominant corner since Pat Surtain. Pat Surtain was an amazing cornerback. Oh, my gosh, was the perfect cornerback. And you see where he lands in the NFL's top 100. He was top 20 or so. And really, he's the best defensive back in the NFL already. Sorry, Sauce Gardner. I know you like to be loud and chirpy with that, but Pat Surtain is the perfect cornerback. when Pat was here, you had basically defenses or you had basically offenses say, we're not throwing at Surtain. We're going to pick on Josh Jobe. We're going to pick on anybody else other than Pat Surtain. Trayvon Diggs was still here. He got picked on just a little bit. You guys remember that. Look, you haven't had a perfect corner since Pat Surtain. I think Kool-Aid McKinstry is looking like one of those perfect corners. And Terrion Arnold is just getting more and more comfortable in his role. It's the second year that Terrion's played corner in his life. And Coach Saban says, oh, gosh, look at this guy. You're going to be a corner. I'm going to make you into a corner. And I think this year you guys are really going to be happy with what you see out of Terrion Arnold. The defensive backs are really going to make things tough, on offenses. And so while you are worried about quarterbacks, I think there's not really anything to worry about cornerbacks. And because of the defensive strength that you're going to be rolling into the season with, now obviously we hope for health. We hope for great health for everybody on all teams, but especially right here at Alabama. If the health stays intact, then I think you're really going to see an Alabama team, the Alabama Anaconda. We talked about it last week, just slowly choking the life out of other teams. The defense basically being a brick wall where the offense pounds away. And yeah, your first quarter might be 10-0 or 10-3, and then your second quarter might be 24-10 or something like that. But by the time you're in that third and fourth quarter, you're seeing the Alabama Anaconda choke the life out of other teams, and you're looking at a 38-17 final score. You're looking at a 45-17 final score, and you're like, wow, how did Alabama blow them out? It never felt that. It never felt like a blowout, but just slowly over time, the defense just clamps down, and the offense does their job and really hammers away and scores points throughout the game. I think the Alabama Anaconda will be back this season. All right, so that's really going to do it for my scrimmage talk. You can read about it right there on BamaCentral.com. My man Austin Hannon also taking away lots of sources and talking to a lot of sources, getting some intel on BamaCentral.com. The way I want to finish this program is highlighting 2 victories for Alabama over the weekend. Obviously, no score kept in the scrimmage, and we don't care who wins or loses. I feel like the defense did win the scrimmage, but what's the big deal? At the end of the day, everybody knows Alabama wins the scrimmage. What did happen over the weekend was Nick Dunlap. If you guys are not golf fans, that is A-OK. Look, you guys all know Justin Thomas, and we love him. We're hopeful that his game gets back into shape, and we're waiting to see if he gets selected on the Ryder Cup team or not. I kind of think he's going to be left out. But you all know Justin Thomas and the success that he has had. The next great Alabama golfer is right there on the rise. We had Cannon Claycomb on the program maybe 3 weeks ago, and if you missed that, you can see it on YouTube, on Facebook, Twitter. You can listen to it on all the podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Cannon Claycomb joined us about 3 weeks ago to talk about Alabama golf, and he talked about Nick Dunlap quite a bit. Nick Dunlap last year as a freshman dominated SEC SEC all-freshman team. This year, he has had a great summer schedule. And what did he do? He won the 123rd U.S. Amateur Championship. He became the second golfer in the history of golf to win both the U.S. Amateur and U.S. Junior Amateur Championships. Nick Dunlap and Tiger Woods. What great company to be in, obviously. So Nick Dunlap goes out and he wins the U.S. Amateur. It's okay if you didn't watch it. Yes, it was on Golf Channel and it was on the NBC throughout the weekend. Nick Dunlap joins Jerry Pate, 8-time PGA Tour winner, as the only Alabama golfers to win a U.S. Amateur Championship. And look, he defeated Gordon Sargent, the number 1 ranked golfer for Vanderbilt, on Wednesday, I believe it was, Wednesday or Thursday. He rolls out and whips up on his opponent on Saturday. And then you got to give a lot of credit to, Shipley. Neil Shipley. You got to give a lot of credit to Neil Shipley for pushing Nick Dunlap yesterday in the final. He really did. They both shot 66 through the first 18. It's a 36-hole championship, so the guys have to play 2 rounds basically in the same day. They tied through the first round, and then in the second round, Nick Dunlap, his character and really his skill shone through, and he won 4-3. So he won with a couple holes left remaining. He basically ended the match early, and Nick he played great. He played great, and I want to encourage you guys to pay attention to Alabama golf this year because I think that this team really might be competing for national championships. I do. It's been what since was it 2012 and 13 the back-to-back titles? I think it was for Alabama. I think this team is going to be very, very close to competing for a national championship and might win the whole dang thing. A very, very cool thing that we saw yesterday. You saw Cannon Claycomb, Thomas Ponder, and several other Alabama golfers wake up at the butt crack of dawn and catch a flight out to the event and support Nick Dunlap. They walked all 35, 34 holes, whatever that they played. They walked all the holes with him and supported him along the way. It was great to see the Alabama golf team out there supporting Nick Dunlap as he won the U.S. Amateur Championship. And we want to say a big congratulations and roll tide to you, Nick Dunlap, for winning that U.S. Amateur Championship. And really, guys, he's going to be that next great Alabama golfer out of Huntsville, Greystone member in Birmingham. Like, he's going to be that next great Alabama golfer that we support and cheer on for the next. So, he's young. He's 18, 19. He's young. He's going to be playing high-level golf for a long, long time. So get familiar with Nick Dunlap. Hopefully, the sophomore is going to lead Alabama. He and Cannon Claycomb and Thomas Ponder will lead Alabama to great success this year. I think this team is really built to contend and compete. So, yes, we all want to see Alabama football win a national championship. Of course, absolutely. They're the Kings right here on campus. But I think you should I really think you should be paying attention to this Alabama golf team as we're heading into the new season. I think this team's going to really, really impress people and equip themselves very, very well. Lastly on the program today, let's hit one more topic, and I appreciate everybody joining us. We got some people watching on Facebook and watching on YouTube. We appreciate everybody watching us on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral. You can watch us each and every day right around 1 o'clock on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon. We love each and every one of you guys. You can comment on the program on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter as well. Leave us your comments, questions, queries, and complaints and critiques right there on all the social media machines at Joe Gaither 6. We appreciate each and every follower, all the interaction. Send me a friend request and we'll chat it up if you want to chat it up about anything we say on the program. Last topic that we want to get into for the day on a beautiful Monday, and it is beautiful right here in downtown Northport, right about 2 miles away from Bryant-Denny Stadium. We had Alabama soccer yesterday take on its second game, and real quick for you guys, Alabama soccer is still undefeated, winning 1-0 behind a Kate Henderson goal. Kate Henderson scores with about 10 minutes left in the game yesterday against UAB. So not necessarily the scoring affair that we're used to for the Alabama soccer team or that we're expecting out of the Alabama soccer team, but want to give a shout out to Kate Henderson getting her first goal of the season. If you get out to a soccer game, if you do get out to or watch them on ESPN Plus at any point this year, pay attention. Kate Henderson is a very, very talented midfielder. She puts the ball on a silver platter for her attackers. She really is, in my opinion, very, very talented as a holding midfielder. What does that mean for anybody who doesn't know? She is getting the ball from the defense to the midfield and kind of controlling it, corralling it as their opponents are bearing down on her, and she is really, really good at really getting that ball back out and getting it out in an outlet fashion to offensive players to get the ball down the field. Now, you need that holding player to basically give your defense a break and to help set up the offense. Yesterday, she turns in her first goal of the season for Alabama soccer. The soccer team now 2-0 after defeating DePaul last Thursday and defeating UAB yesterday. They'll be back in action up in Nashville on Thursday. They'll be in Nashville on Thursday taking on Lipscomb. I'll remind you, next Sunday, the 27th, is the next time that Alabama soccer will be in town right here at Alabama Soccer Complex. You can watch them on the 27th against Memphis at 7 p.m., and we encourage you guys to do that. Get out there. It's a free event. You can cheer on Alabama soccer. It'll be a great way to start your academics, your Alabama athletic calendar. Get out there and support the girls. They're going to try to be going for, hopefully, that'll be 4-0. Hopefully they'll beat Lipscomb. I expect them to beat Lipscomb, and they'll be rolling in to Alabama Soccer Complex, undefeated on next Sunday. So that's going to do it for my program today. I appreciate everybody watching us on the show. You can check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Tell a friend about the program. Hit that little share button on all those platforms or repost on Twitter to expose us to a little bit more people. And then, of course, you can subscribe, rate, and review us on all those podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, or Spotify. Just hit that subscribe button and you will not miss a single episode. I am going to reach out to a member of Yay, Alabama to bring them onto the program. I believe we'll have Jay McPhillips, the executive director of Yay, Alabama, joining us later in the week. We're going to talk about things that I got wrong. There are definitely things that I got wrong on Friday. We're going to clear up some misconceptions about Yay, Alabama with Jay McPhillips. We're going to get educated and find out how we can get more people involved with Yay, Alabama and find out really just kind of what their goals are as an organization. Really looking forward and very grateful that Jay McPhillips wants to jump on the program. We cannot wait to have him, Mr. Yay, Alabama's executive director. We'll make sure that we put that out on social medias beforehand, so all you guys who are interested or everybody who watched the Friday program or listened to the Friday program can be informed. That'll be kind of part number 2 to our Yay, Alabama discussion. And we're going to reach out to Caleb Odom's people. We got some positive conversation last week before their game against Langston Hughes. He had a nice touchdown grab. Unfortunately, the Carrollton Trojans lost. We're going to try to get Caleb Odom onto the program as well, Alabama 2024 tight end commit. So that's going to do it for the show. Make sure you follow BamaCentral. Listen to our other BamaCentral Broadcasting Network podcasts, All Things Bama with Katie Wyndham and Austin Hannon, Blue Collar Unplugged with Blake Byler, Matthew Gibson, and Jacob Pickle. Subscribe to BamaCentral's YouTube channel so you're not missing a single press conference or a single show. We love you so much. Reach out to me on social media at Joe Gaither6. Anywhere that you get your social medias. We'll be back on Tuesday for another edition of the Joe Gaither Show right here on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.